Yeah, so problem is, given some text, wrap the text to a 15 character column limit. So in Vim, there's a shortcut to do that. So boom. Even for really long words, but don't break really long words. So really is really long, so it can exceed the, I hope you can see the limit. This is the 15 character column. It doesn't go beyond, I mean, this word is too long to fit in that, but we can't insert a new line where there isn't white space. We have to only insert a new line where there's white space. So that's the gist of the problem. And the particular issue that Jiku was having was they had their program worked by reading this line into a buffer in memory and then running the algorithm to replace spaces with new lines and then print out that modified buffer. Problem is, you need to decide on the size of that buffer, and a constraint is that they're not using dynamic memory allocation. This is in the C programming language. They're not using dynamic memory allocation, so they can't resize the buffer to fit the entire line. So they have to pick some limit, and then if there's a line bigger than a limit, then they're going to have problems. So they were asking how to solve the problem without allocating memory and support long lines. Well, it's working in Vim, but the problem is implement it in C. You tried the approach we suggested yesterday. Okay, let's take a look. Look ahead of 1. You can't have a look ahead of 1 character. That doesn't work. So while we're not at end of file, well, that's weird, because C is your character. That's oh, okay. So we read till we hit the cutoff, and we're reading, yeah. Then we store that in the buffer is cutoff size, and if it's a space, then we remember. Otherwise, if it's a new line, then we break out of this loop and increment I. Okay. Buffer containing a new line can just be printed? Question mark. I equal to cutoff. I don't know why you have that condition. And the last space is there, and oh, yeah, I don't know why I have that condition. Last space is greater than -1. Okay, and the last character is not new line. Okay, sure. Then slice in a new line. Then you do this. So problem with this is if you have a really long word, well, yeah, I don't think this works. Let's see how it behaves. Is this a new gist? Let's delete our changes. Git fetch. You rename the file. You evil. You renamed the file. Okay. So you move that to Canner. Unmove. And then we make. Well, it passes all my tests. What case doesn't it work on? Hello, Agraline. Words spanning multiple buffers are the problem again. Do I actively delete dead old code when I'm coding? By actively, do you mean do I seek it out? I mean, you don't delete old code if it works, but sure you delete dead code. I don't systematically delete dead code. I usually delete dead code when I encounter it, but I don't actively seek it out, no. But I have thought about that this morning. I was thinking, it'd be nice if I set up code coverage for my project, and then I could find dead code and other weird stuff. But I haven't implemented that yet. Jiku, you should send me an example input that's busted, because it passes my tests. Oh. That was commented on. Maybe that's important. Oh. I commented out the test case. So, yeah. It's still failing like the other one was. So, when you hit the cutoff, so the way I think about the problem is, instead of doing this, so when we encounter the end of a word, we no longer care about the word we just wrote. Or, I guess we do. It depends. So this is not the algorithm that I had in mind. The algorithm I had in mind looks for it reads in a character if, okay, we start at the beginning of the output line. So, because like the current output is empty, so we begin at the beginning of the output line. We read in character, so when we're at the beginning of the output line, all we need to do is read in characters until we get a space. And while we're reading in those characters, we can just print them out. Because the first word in a line always appears at the beginning of the line. You never put line break before the first word. So when we encounter a space after the very first word, like if it's past if our current column is past the end, if the output column is past the end, then we need to put a line break. If it's not past, then we need to start buffering the next word. So storing, instead of reading and then printing, we would store that into a buffer. And when that buffer gets too big, as in, well, not the buffer gets too big, but if we put in, I'm starting to write the code just by speaking it, which is dumb, because it's obviously buggy because I didn't test it. But you added test input in the gist that fails. Huh? You mean the original one, or? You can do it the hardcode way of using ftel and fseek. Well, that's not hardcore. It's not hardcore, ruffian. If you might want it down the road, do you comment out or delete and rely on Git? If I might want it down the road, I don't comment it out, I delete it. Why would you not have a line break in the beginning of the line? Jiku, I think you can solve this problem with a fixed size buffer, but you do need a buffer. If you're going to do a single pass algorithm. If you're doing seeking, then that doesn't work in general for standard input. Fine, let's implement it. Let's implement this damn algorithm the way my brain is making it. Output column is 0. So infinite loops are great. Get char if c eof go to done. I'm using goto because it's the right thing to do. So if the C is equal to new line or C is equal to blank, well, if it's new line, then we put char of new line. Output column is now 0 again. If it's space, then we need to break out of our loop because we hit a space. Otherwise, we put char C and output column plus equals 1. So now we hit a space. Assert C is equal to space. Assert.h. Right. So if output column is less than cutoff, then we, well, so I mean, I was trying to make it work with the rest of your algorithm. I guess it could if I do fun get C of standard in space. just unget C. Kaboom! Unget C. I swap the arguments. So now it breaks down because your algorithm doesn't work the way I need it to, but you can't rest before you have a solution. Did you not sleep last night? You made a thing with a lot of unnecessary JavaScript. I want to review something later. Well, if it's unnecessary, then delete it. And then I'll review it. Oh yeah, no file operations because of the is another constraint. That makes sense. So we read in everything until a space. Now we need to start buffering. So let's line. So if it's that, go to beginning of line. If it's a space, so I prefer infinite loops when I'm just trying things out. So then we do C equals, I guess I'll repeat this code. So we read the next character. We need to shove it into the buffer. If it's a space, though, we need to stop this loop. If we've hit our limit, then we need to insert a space first and then print. So if we hit our limit, so int I equals 0. Int goodbye. Buffer is cut off. So if I is greater than cut off, then we assert that I is equal to cut off. And we need to, well, no, not I. We would use column, output column. If output column is greater than that, then we know it's equal to that. And then we need to print out whatever's in the buffer. Buffer of J. And then after we do that, we need to, well, we print out a new line and then we print out a thingy, and then we need to we say output column is J. No, is I rather. Because we've written that many characters in the current line, in the newest line, and then we need to go back to this loop. So continue first word in line. First word in line. Go to first word in line. This will make more sense when I fix it. Well, unget only really works with standard in and other inputs. Am I not checking for EOF? I think I am. Checking right here. You don't care about anything at this point, but you have a working solution according to my handicaps. But to have a... Yeah. You go to the go-to. Yeah. Hello, Fez3. Anyone coded a neural network from scratch? I assume one person did. Probably not here. So if we read a character, if it's a space, then we need to write out the current word. So output column plus equals 1, assert output column less than cutoff. Wait, so we need to print a space and then print out the put jar space. Whenever you put jar, we need to do that. And we assert that output column is less than cutoff, and we reset our buffer. And that, well, if we reach a new line, we need to print the new line. Yeah, otherwise we save that off. And then, see if this works. C undeclared. Forever. And int C buffer. So I print out hello. Oh, so if we hit the end of file, then we need to flush our buffer. By copying this code again. If C is end of file, we'll work that. If C is end of file, then we go to EOF. Crash. Output column is less than. This is failing. On input 3. Which is where we actually word wrap. Output column is less than cutoff. Get char. Oh, output column plus I. Right? Maybe. It's equal to cutoff. We only ever increment I. So how can that be? So this would be, let's improve this thing. Crash. So crashed for this input. So we read the first word, then we get here, and then we read until output column starts at 20. Right. So if we read a word, if the first word is too long, so if output column is greater than or equal to cutoff, then we need to put a new line. We need to start a new line and then go to beginning. Cool. Where to the fprintf? Alright, this passes all of our tests. This hideous algorithm. Okay. So now we make it sane. Rewrite algorithm passes our tests. Smiley face. Kind of proud of that. Scratch MIT Studios. Cool. Is that white guy with the hat in the background? Is that white guy with a hat on the background the Christmas decoration? That thing? Yes. Type like a movie hacker. How do you hack a movie? I only vaguely understand the domain. Okay. So, let's make this less retarded. So we read, first we read so beginning of line. Column. Don't need that. So we start at input column 0. Our output column equals 0. Blech. Well, I can just do that. And what I want to do is void write output. If C is new line, output column is 0. Else output column plus equals 1. Put jar C. So here we use output. That should be the same. Output. Here we can use output. Here's output. We don't need that. Output. And then where we beginning the line, we go first word in line. Okay. Refactor. We never continue in this loop, so it's not really a loop. No, we do continue in this loop. Do we? Because that's also an infinite loop. So this loop isn't loopy. So we can delete that. So that's factor. We start with output column 0, first word in line. Okay. So we can simplify this, doing that. And we can, yeah, that's fine. So if we wrote too much stuff, we break. Well, we do that loop again. Buffer should be next word. Next word length. Okay. You added a file to the gist. Okay. Let's try that out. Because all my inputs were single line, so this might help. Just shake out some bugs. Fetch. So you have gistfile1.txt. Check. So input file is 1. Expected file is 2. Check file input expected.temp. Cat put file. That's useless. Uh-oh. Broke something. Well, oh, this should be output temp. This should be output file. Output temp. Output file. Okay, and then we can check file. Gist file. So I assume that's what's expected. Gist file 1.txt, gist file 1.txt expected. Boom, crash. So line 67. This is failing. So we have the output. Well, here, let's flush so we can see where it got, or what it printed. So it printed that much. Line break. Okay, so it's because I think I just have an offline one error in my search. Yeah. Maybe. B should be broken. Oh, so when that happens, I'm not printing out the line. So it's a space, then we print out the previous word. But if it's a new line, well, duh. We need to print out our word. We need to print out space and then our word. Right? And then there's this. Well, we print out space and then print out a new line. That should be the beginning. So we fixed break. That's showing up now. But then we don't have the word in. Why don't we have the word in? Did it screw up? Crap, I missed some messages. These are not cherry reds. These aren't cherry at all. These are Topper switches. Lindsay Stomp. Let me get you a link. Watch videos, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't look right to me. Yep. Chain rule is key. Failure is not an option. Teach us how to use Git. Well, there's many ways to use Git. I do Git my way. I had another file with the expected output done by hand. Okay. Would have bet money. Dang it, I should have bet. I don't think they sound nice at all. A lot of people come in and ask about my keyboard, though. Sounds like they think it sounds nice. Wait, blanks, space, 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 space. What the heck is going on there? I have some extra spaces here. I think I'm screwing up somewhere. So if I hit break, that means I hit here. No, didn't hit here. I hit this. I print a new line. Wait. No, I did break, and then I hit the space. And when I hit the space, no, that can't be right either. Okay, so I hit the K. The K went here. Incremented word length. Then output column plus next word length is equal to cutoff. Then we print a new line. Then so that resets output column. And then we print out the word that we had, which was nothing. Should be nothing. And then we say go first word in line. Then we do the and. Gist file. Failing test case. Expected temp output temp input temp. So what I want to do is see if it works fine. That's the output file. I want the input file. Break. If I do that, now it behaves weirdly still. This. Oh, the spaces are in the input. Okay. I was confused by that. I think we're not resetting output columns somehow. Check. So 15, new line, right? That's weird. Why is it breaking? Oh, it's supposed to break like that. I'm an idiot. Expected. And this in... Oh, I think my expected is just wrong. Passing test case. Just file 2. Get rm just file 1.txt expected. Wait. Oh, you have this crap. Why'd you have to make it complicated? Like, naming your files weird. Okay. So, fix expected input for test case. So, just file 2 is the expected, and output is what my program gives. Why? So, you made broken on its own line. Jigu. Why'd you do that? Because OU LDB broken is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 characters. It's 15 characters wide. So it should fit in the 15 if the limit is 15 characters, right? So I think your expected is wrong. New line contributes to the line length. So is that how the problem is specified? Git gets easier once you understand branches are homeomorphic endofunctors, mapping submanifolds of the Hilbert space. Nah, branches are just aliases. Very crappy aliases. It sounds nicer over the internet, the keyboard? Nah. I listened to a recording, like I listened to my video, and I still didn't get why people liked it. Goodbye, Voka. Good night. So you're saying if I change 15 here to 14, then your test cases should work. Oops. Div this. So now it's complaining about, looks like a space in the middle of the line, whereas my program removes the space. Should it keep that space? So there were how do I show white space? White space. Tab. List chars. Okay. Set local list chars plus equals space is a dot. I don't know if you can see that now. And that didn't work locally, but so my program prints out at the end of this space, 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 and then new line, and then it doesn't print out a space here, and then it prints out T. Yours does the same, except it puts a space here. No character should be removed, is your thinking. Okay. What about the input? How many spaces are in the input? The input has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces here. No, 6 spaces. And then a new line. What you have is, so this is the input. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, one new line. Your expected has 1, 2, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, one new line, and one space, one new line, then one new, well, yeah. And my solution has 5 spaces, one new line, one new line. So it would be 5, 6, 7 characters. You have 8 characters, and originally was 7 characters. So if it's supposed to have the same number of characters, then my solution is correct. Maybe this input is wrong? Possibly. So if I add another space, let's see what we get. Well, I have all this crap in the bottom. Remove that. passes. Okay. So let's remove that. Let's remove this from that. Yeah. And gosh darn it. Okay, so it passes all the tests. Pass all tests. Okay, so now we can go back to improving the code. So output many I output C's I. So let's output many next word length. And here I guess those are the only places we do that. No, here. Let's go all out with goto. Next. Later word in line. No. Oh, here. Isn't goto bad to use? I'm not using it. What are you talking about? I'm in the middle of coding. It's okay to structure code using weird features in the middle, because maybe it'll help you gain insight. Go is getting goto? That's good to hear. Next word, too large. Refactor. Or C is new line. If C is new line, then else. So if C is new line, then we want to do these. We can hoist this up. C is UF. Go to end of line, else cert C is space. So let's fix some asymmetry here. Else if C is space, else cert false. Do I want to preserve lines with like 100 spaces? No clue. Well, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're given a line with a gazillion spaces, then I think it's reasonable to cut that into multiple lines containing gazillion spaces. I think one invariant that makes sense to me that Jiku mentioned is the number of bytes in the output should equal the number of bytes in the input. And if you keep that constraint, then you need to either replace a space with a new line or keep them as is. You can't just remove them. But we don't test a line with a million spaces. So let's see what happens. So let's add 30 spaces. 32 spaces. So we get some new lines. (14) new line, and then 14 spaces, and then a new line, and then some number of spaces. I don't know how many I put in there originally. Two. Okay. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to turn a bunch of spaces and it's just like, I don't know. Add a weird white space test case. So if we hit a special character, we need to finish the current word and then case. Up here, if we hit the last column, if we hit their cutoff, then we gotta print out a new line instead of a space, and then we do that stuff, and then we go to the first word. Okay. Okay. This mess. I thought you wanted help, and you're judging me? So actually, this is the same as this, right? Does that mean this is the same? No. But at least this is the same as this. But is it worth merging them? I don't know. Given Kernighan ratio, design terrible standard library functions. I don't think they thought about it as much as I do, or Jiku does. What are the terrible standard library functions they're talking about? On the spot, well, I thought about it a lot yesterday when we were looking at your existing solution. So it's not like I just spun this out of thin air, you know? And I don't really like this solution. I mean, I like it in my head, but I don't like it as it's written down. You know? Just... ugh. Well, the thing is we output many. Should this assert be here? Yeah. And next word length should be 0 because we wrote it. So whenever we output many, we need to do that. I mean, this is technically not necessary, but I assert that output column is 0 here. Boom. No, I can't. For this is a long line which contains many words. Right. Because here it wouldn't be 0. So I'm thinking how I can get rid of the goto. Sprintf, which takes no buffer capacity. Well, strcat doesn't take buffer capacity, so why should sprintf? Ones that return pointer to strings that have static in their function, for example. What's wrong with that? In the context of C, where you don't have multiple threads and you're not writing crazy libraries, and if you do, then you know how to save your storage, then they all should. Well, that just makes code more ugly. How thread safe are they? Threads didn't exist then. Well, I mean, technically threads exist, but multiple threads sharing memory didn't exist then. Okay, let's make a bool. Is first word in line. First is true. If is first word in line, else we do this. And then it broke. Because reasons. So we need here is first word in line is false. And that should break. Didn't break. Because when we go to here. So whenever we go to there, insert is first word. And so instead of go to repeat, we can do continue. Repeat. Here we can do continue. Here we can do continue. It's not used. Later word in line, so we can remember, hoist this out of the loop. And assert not is first word in line. And replace this with continue. Alright, your go-tos are gone. Replaced with a stupid variable. Goodbye, go-to. So now the only loop that we have inside this loop is this first loop. So we can say, what we can do is if it's the first word, then here we can do this. That should be equivalent. And then instead of here we should assert that. And then delete that. Then I think we could just delete the loop. No, this needs to move here. Nope. Oh, here. And then we can delete that. Hey, goodbye. Go to what at EOF, it goes to the end of the file. It goes to the end of my C file. They are all responsible for buffer overflow hacking. Yeah. I mean, there are problems with it, but in the context, it made sense. if you avoid using stircat and you have to use stir qfnpcat, then your code looks uglier and it's slower. When is goto not necessary? Oh, there are places when goto is required, especially when you're messing with inline assembly. But I think it's better practice and much more readable to use continue. Are you really suggesting that I'm still refactoring it, but like, I think I can get rid of this goto, but that's not the goal that sometimes goto works out well. And it's gotos I use a lot. I mean, not a lot, but I use it when, like, as I'm doing now, where I don't know the structure of my loop yet. I'm still trying to find it. So I just start with goto, and then later I structure the loop. Goto should always go downward. That makes sense. I use goto in my production code, or production E code. I don't know if you consider it production yet. This doesn't count, but I have like a goto retry. Does this make people's eyes bleed? Should I use a loop for this? Because here it's not really I don't think of it as a loop, because we're supposed to only do the code once, but if we hit a specific error condition, we need to do it again. So I think goto makes sense here, but what's everyone else's opinion? Pretty code is better than secure code. I totally agree. If you're getting stuff up and running on a system that is, like, security is not a primary concern and privacy is not a primary concern, then pretty code would be easier to work with, easier to change, easier to understand, easier to debug. Oh, I got your currency. I would just skip leading spaces, and if you want to preserve the length, that won't work. What does my code do with hello brave new space? Well, let's try it out. Hello, wait, space, hello brave new world. I'd expect that to be, let's just say it's equal to itself. It puts a new line between brave and new. It just puts a new line between the word brave and new. If you had multiple spaces in your message, then IRC and Twitch would eat them up, convert them into one space. So I don't see that. Writing secure code is like being a safe driver. Except they don't teach it in school. I need more blanks before new. How many new blanks? One new blank? One new blank? Two new blanks? Two new blanks? Three? Three? So at 3, it puts it before the word new. see if my output starts with blanks in that line. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. This would be 1, 2, 3. Yep. It's pretty unfortunate. And here I also think the length limit of lines is 15, including new lines. Oh, like that's how you think about it? So can we put this outside of this if? Nah. New word. Why? No, that doesn't work. Revert. Undo. Really? Oh, if it's not first word. So this is odd. How do we get here? You only get here if we continue here or continue here. Or continue here. Well, all those continues are not doing anything. So I think I can move this here. There we go. And I don't need that. I think that's a better spot. Refactor. So now both of these branches both start with if get char. Or not if get char, get char. So you can dedupe that. Then we can see if C is EOF, then go to EOF. Let's just copy this and see what happens. So can I do if next word length is greater than 0? No, I can't. So delete that. I mean, I kind of don't like how that's there. Yeah, let's undo this. Output column is greater than or equal to cutoff. So next. So this is the same as this. Not quite. When would output column not be? Oh, yeah. So this is eerily similar to that. Well, I have a solution. And now I'm just going through the rounds of making it make any sense. His first word in line is true. And idea is his first word in line is now true here. So I can delete that. His first. His first word in line, true. I don't know if that's better, but maybe it is. Because then it's like, well, so now that we have a loop, we can replace GoToEOF with break. No more go to sniff. But we do have global variables, so that's good. So we're only calling output mini here. Is it equal to cutoff ever? Apparently yes. Okay. Can we move this here? Nope. We can't. I don't know. Hacked on this enough. I'll upload it. How do I make a new gist? Huh? Guess I can't do that. Eh. Oops. Is there a way it could have? Yeah. New repository. Word wrap. Remote. Origin identifier. Word wrap. Push. GitHub head. Huh? Oh, was it git at? Maybe that's why it failed. Git push. Git fetch. Maybe. Come on. .git. Git at github.com. Okay. Well. There it is in all its ugly glory. Let's turn off all the features. It'd be nice if I could disable pull requests, but archive this repository. Word wrap. I archived it so no one sends me stupid pull requests.